Hi, friends. I'm here to share some brief cosmic wisdom for Scorpio season. So, the sun is moving into Scorpio today, October 23rd, and it will be there for the next 30 days. Scorpio is the season that we associate with death. And the harvest is over and everything is drying up and the trees are dropping their leaves. It's getting darker, and we are going more inward. Halloween and all of the spooky season is in Scorpio. Scorpio traditionally is ruled by Mars, and in the modern time, it's ruled by Pluto. Mars is the planet associated with war and violence, anger, rage. Fighting, military battle. It's also associated with a kind of intensity and desire to penetrate to the root of something. Pluto is the god of the underworld and is associated with power and control and fear, abuse, death, and also, I know that's heavy. It's heavy. It's a dark time, Scorpio. But the promise of Scorpio really is renewal, is resurrection, reawakening, transformation. So Scorpio, Stephen Arroyo, as an astrologer, he says that, Scorpio has the deepest karma to it. It is a fixed water sign, fixed meaning somewhat blocked or impenetrable or stuck. Water is the emotion, it is the connection to our feelings, our heart, our intuition. Scorpio tends to be the most stoic sign, not in a bad way. I love stoicism. I've studied a lot of philosophy. My son is an avid stoic philosopher. But stoicism is very concerned with how do we self-control and limit the flood of emotion and reactivity that we have to that so that we can always come from a place of power and transform ourselves through that, right? Instead of being reactive into violence, into rage and vengeance. How do we become more self-aware and self-contained around whatever circumstances are in our outer and inner world? So the promise ultimately of Scorpio is that when we are brought into an awareness of the darkness within ourselves, within the world, when we are confronted with crisis, with struggles for power, with all of the things that create a lot of suffering in the world, in reality, how do we somehow still strive to be our best selves in the face of that? And instead of become victims and helpless, how do we find our resilience, our strength, our ability to continue to find what we might learn from this, how we might grow from this, how we might evolve and transform ourselves and our world through these experiences? From the Light Seers Tarot deck, I love this interpretation of the Death card, which is the number 13 in the major arcana. Um, the Death card, again associated with Scorpio, she envisions it as death and rebirth, right? And I love that there's an infinity sign between them, that there's this idea that this is a connected, interconnected part, that from death comes rebirth. Um, and I love that, we think of like this hooded kind of, there's some darkness, but inside there's like a new dawn that's arising above the treetops. We're seeing something new, some new light, some new possibility. So I wanted to share something else for you. That I think really encapsulates it. And I'm going to warn you, this is a little difficult. So, this is a poem that I encountered by Thich Nhat Hanh, who many of you know he passed several years ago, but his teachings really deeply influenced my spiritual practice and my understanding of interbeing and how to keep a compassionate, empathetic heart open for all beings everywhere. And also just how to daily live your practice in each moment through acts of mindfulness as a regular way of being. But the very first encounter I ever had with Thich Nhat Hanh was through a poem of his that I read when I was a freshman in college. And I want to share it with you. It's a challenging poem, and he wrote it at a challenging time after the Vietnam War. And he was a Buddhist monk in Vietnam, and he heard the story of a 12-year-old girl who was raped by a sea pirate and threw herself into the sea and died. and he struggled with the hatred and the anger and the vengeance in his own heart, and how to stay open to compassion and understanding and hopefulness. And how do you come from something that is so heinous and brutal and this act of cruelty and suffering in the world, and somehow not let it shut you down and just stay stuck, fixed in the darkness? How do we take that and grow from it? So I want to share that with you. I'll share it on screen, and you can struggle with it this month yourself. But it really is challenging us to hold a broader perspective and to understand that even within ourselves, we have shadow elements. And this is really important. This is Jungian psychology. This idea that we like to project outwards and blame others, and we scapegoat others for our problems, and we say, oh, this person, we see what's so negative, what we don't like in others, but we don't always turn the fingers back on ourselves and look and say, what element of that is within me? Right? For me to be so aggravated, triggered, to, what element or aspect of that is also within me? And instead of trying to change the other or do violence to the other or do violence to ourselves, how do I sit with what I notice with honesty, with patience, with a lot of compassion and love, and work through and transform that? One thing Thich Nhat Hanh also teaches is that we take this garbage within ourselves and we can compost it so that it can then grow something beautiful, seeds of beauty, seeds of peace, seeds of compassion. So I'll share on screen this poem, and it's called Please Call Me by My True Names. Don't say that I will depart tomorrow. Even today, I am still arriving. Look deeply. Every second, I am arriving to be a bud on a spring branch, to be a tiny bird with still fragile wings, learning to sing in my new nest, to be a caterpillar in the heart of a flower, to be a jewel hiding itself in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that is alive. I am the mayfly metamorphosing on the surface of the river, and I am the bird that swoops down to swallow the mayfly. I am the frog swimming happily in the clear water of a pond, and I am the grass snake that silently feeds itself on the frog. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks, and I am the arms merchant selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I am the 12-year-old girl, refugee on a small boat, who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. And I am the pirate, my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. I am a member of the Politburo with plenty of power in my hands. And I am the man who has to pay his debt of blood to my people, dying slowly in a forced labor camp. My joy is like spring, so warm it makes flowers bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears, so vast it fills the four oceans. Please call me by my true names so I can hear all my cries and my laughter at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true names so I can wake up, and so the door of my heart can be left open, the door of compassion. I hope that is meaningful for you. This month, just give yourself time and space. Maybe going into the darkness, maybe safely looking at those places within yourself that need some healing, that need some renewal. um, and finding those who can help you to do that work in safe and loving space. I wish you all a very good Scorpio season, a transformational Scorpio season. If you're celebrating Halloween, All Hallows Eve, Samhain, enjoy that. I'm dressing up as Green Yoshi from Mario Kart, and I'm really looking forward to giving out candy to children and seeing their beauty and their innocence and their potential. And, from my heart, just sending lots of love and light and blessings to all of the little adorable young ones who come to my door that evening. So happy birthday to all my Scorpio friends, and reach out. I'd love to hear Love to hear from you. Okay, bye.